Welcome to Undisputed live from Los Angeles. I'm Jason McIntyre here for day 3 with Greg Jennings and my man Rob Parker. Good morning, gentlemen.
What's happening?
Booyah, feeling good.
You know, I'm feeling good. Couple knocks in softball last night. I'll take it. We did get the L, but I got mine.
Took a lot of L's yesterday on this show, Rob.
No,
Maybe
I
we'll give you
did
some
not.
victories today ahead on the show. Yeah, I got to get him in. Come on. All sorts of confusion in Indy with Andrew Luck's latest injury. And is Jerry Jones finally starting to panic? But we begin with Greg Jennings' best friend, Antonio Brown. Brown has finally returned to training camp after missing the last week as he recovered from frostbitten feet due to cryotherapy gone wrong. Earlier this week, AB lost his grievance against the NFL to wear his old helmet. Since then, he has found a model that's been made within the past 10 years, and the NFL will likely allow him to wear it. Star wideout says he's excited to be back, and despite dealing with a lot of adversity, things are on the up and up. But former Steelers Super Bowl winning head coach Bill Cowher told CBS that AB is a very talented receiver, but he does sometimes create headlines that can be disruptive to a football team. Raiders coach Jon Gruden addressed Brown's return yesterday.
We'll work him back in. Obviously, it's great to have him back. You know, we've had a pretty good understanding in spite of what people think. We had a pretty good understanding what's going to happen, and now we're ready to get rolling.
You expect him for the opener?
Oh, yeah. Yep.
All right, Rob Parker, we're going to start with you today. Will Antonio Brown help or hurt the Raiders this season?
Before we get there, I want you to apologize to AB.
Well, I was waiting
because you
for
said that on Hard Knocks, it was all built up about, right?
Said
about,
you would do it.
That he was doing that about the helmet for the
100,000.
show, and it was like almost non-existent.
Well, that's the problem, okay? Hard Knocks filmed last week.
But it
This
wasn't about that. Just admit if
This
you were
episode
wrong.
was about last week, and Jon Gruden said he was concerned. Did you see the tease for the next episode? All Antonio Brown. So the next episode will focus on Antonio Brown's helmet and his problems in Oakland. So let's get back to the question.
You were wrong. Just say it.
Will it hurt or help Antonio Brown, the Raiders, this season?
Of course, he will help them. I mean, are you kidding? When you add a talent like Antonio Brown, I know everybody's so caught up on the off-the-field other stuff, Greg, because there are no games to be played, right? The last time we saw him was week 17 because he didn't play and all the hubbub about that. And so the narrative about him has kind of diminished what a player he is because we don't see him on the field. When this guy gets on, if I'm Derek Carr, I'm doing cartwheels. Are you kidding? My quarterback career can be rejuvenated, right? And even if it's not him, and even if they double at AB, other guys are going to be wide open. So I'm going to have a field day with him added. It's going to help the team offensively. And I just want to go just a little bit with some of the numbers.
Take your time.
Really.
It's a lot of numbers.
Am I
It's
right?
not a little bit.
But I mean, just some of these numbers, really. Most consecutive seasons with 100 receptions and 1,200 yards. Most in NFL history, right? Also, most seasons with 100 receptions, 1,000 yards, and 10 touchdowns. Okay, in the consecutive seasons I just mentioned before, he has 6 of them, which is still active. Jerry Rice, who's considered the greatest receiver and one of the greatest 2 or 3 football players ever, only had 3 such seasons. This is how good Antonio Brown is. So if I'm the Raiders, they made the right decision. They needed to upgrade their offense. They needed help offensively with a big-time receiver. Greg, I'm all in on this. This will make the Raiders better once he gets back on the field and once it's about football.
Greg, I'm going to squash those numbers in a moment, but I want you, a wide receiver, of course, to talk up Mr. Brown. I mean, do you think this he's going to hurt or help?
What are we talking about right now? Everything that Rob said, thank you, Rob, so eloquently spoken. It's a no-brainer. Yes, he's going to help the Oakland Football Raiders. He's going to help them. There is no question, no doubt in my mind, no doubt in that man's, Jon Gruden's mind, no doubt in Derek Carr's mind that he's going to make them better. You asked Derek Carr, who did I have to throw to last year? Jared Cook was their leading receiver. Jordy Nelson at tight end, might I add. Jordy Nelson was their leading wide receiver.
He was a shell of himself,
and he
right?
was nowhere near the Jordy Nelson that we've seen in the green and gold in his Green Bay days. So if you look at Derek Carr and you say, man, can he improve? Can he build on what he did last year? Yes. Look at their stats. Passing yards, they ranked 18th overall in the National Football League. Total offense, they were 23rd. Points per game, they were 28th. We're talking about a receiving group that afforded Derek Carr 19 touchdown passes last year. 19.
AB had 15 by himself in 15 games.
He had 15 touchdown receptions in just last season.
Led the NFL.
Led the NFL, yes. And so you sit here and ask the question to another receiver, is he going to hurt or help? He's definitely going to help. Let me give you a little bit more. So we look at their receivers, we look at what they didn't have, and now we look at what they have with Antonio Brown. We even saw it on Hard Knocks. Jon Gruden so excited, regardless of what everybody's wanting to throw out there because of what has been out there with the helmet, the feet, him not being present. Who's most excited about Antonio Brown coming back to practice? Jon Gruden. Why? Because he's going to work. He's going to make us better, baby. He's going to make us better. He understands the magnitude of production that he has walking on that football field in training camp that is going to lead into production during the regular season. There is no doubt in my mind that Antonio Brown will be ready to go, that he will give us what you just listed off, the statistics, the consistency that he's always shown. He will remain the Antonio Brown of the football, on the football field that we've always seen.
And Greg, you talked about it yesterday. No one's ever said this guy doesn't work hard.
No.
He's a hard worker. You could talk about all the other off the field and the headlines and the Facebook, all that stuff, and I get it. I get it. But you cannot dog him about anything football related, doing his job, putting in the work. And I'm thinking that's why Jon Gruden's so excited. He knows that guy is going to do that, rubs off on other people.
Yes.
And now Jon Gruden has a chance to win more football games. He knows it. Everybody knows it. You take the Raiders for granted, you might get an L hung on you.
Interesting. So we talked about Bill Cowher at the outset, won a Super Bowl. He said Antonio Brown's done some disruptive things. You guys chose to ignore that. Remember the time when Antonio Brown took a water cooler on the sideline, just chucked it during a Steelers game? Because he's disruptive, Rob Parker.
You stop?
Hey, you had your moment in the sun, buddy.
Wow.
You had your moment, okay? I got a lot of stuff here, okay? We have
What was
at
the final
FS1
score of that game?
No,
I'm asking you. Tell me what was
I don't remember the game.
Oh, okay.
He's throwing stuff on the field.
But he doesn't remember.
Bill Cowher used the word disruptive.
Did that change the game? You don't even know.
It changed the
You're
locker
taking
room
one
and the
hot
dynamic.
moment.
Okay, I've got more hot moments.
Come on, stop it.
Because he's showing passion.
Right.
He's tossing things.
All right, gentlemen. Are you ready? Are you done? Okay, here we go.
Go for it.
So we are afforded the opportunity here at FS1 of having a lot of former coaches, GMs, current players walk through here at FS1. And I become a sponge and absorb as much as I can. We had Jeff Fisher here, who was great earlier in the week. Eric Mangini is phenomenal. And the one thing they keep saying to me over and over when I'm peppering them with questions is, we don't want distractions. What has Antonio Brown been from the moment he walked into Oakland? A distraction. Frostbitten feet, helmet.
That's not a distraction.
It is a distraction.
No, it's
Jon
not.
Gruden on Hard Knocks last night said openly, I'm concerned. Now,
But that's not a distraction. He's injured.
He's concerned because he's not at practice.
because
And the
he's not on the
frostbitten
field.
feet.
But he's hurt,
and
though.
The helmet.
That's
It is a distraction when you're star attraction. You wouldn't pay Khalil Mack last year, and you're willing to go pay Antonio Brown, who, mind you, is a declining receiver. Now, Rob gave some great numbers, okay? He led the NFL in touchdowns last year. Last year was arguably Antonio Brown's worst year in 5 years receiving, okay? Ben Roethlisberger
15 touchdowns in 15 games?
Yes, Ben Roethlisberger.
him.
Wait, here we go. We got more. Ben Roethlisberger threw 675 passes, the most in the NFL. Antonio Brown had his fewest receptions since 2012 last year. Now, is that because of Juju Smith-Schuster? Is it because of Le'Veon Bell? Oh, no, Le'Veon wasn't there. So Ben's throwing more, but to Brown less. Could Brown not get open as much last season as he ages into his 30s? Listen, Antonio Brown, we know the work ethic is there. He is a tireless worker when he gets in and doesn't distract people. I like Brown as a player, no doubt. He is a phenomenal talent to watch. But you could argue last year was his weakest year in the last 5 years. This is a guy who led the league in receptions twice 5 years ago. He's been declining in receptions and targets ever since. I'm not saying he's slowed down. He's still an elite receiver in the NFL. But he goes from Ben Roethlisberger, an all-time Hall of Fame quarterback, won a Super Bowl, to Derek Carr, a guy who had accuracy problems last year, who's coming off a bad season. Guys, I'm hopeful that Brown can help this sorry 4-win team, but I'm not optimistic, and I believe ultimately he will hurt